ability.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D campaign number 2 of Black Ink and Blue Blood. When we last left off, the party continued their preparations for the coming war against the Concord. They have sent an army, the united lower rungs of the Concord, led by Queen Tebedra and Queen Wyborn, march against Rosewick with an army. So the party prepares. Watses hires oath-breaking mercenaries to fight in this battle and war to restore their honor. Lucian gathers supplies for the inevitable magical cavalcade that will be required for this fight. Caleb unites the brigands and rogues of Tebedra to stand for something, to fight for something. And, of course, Zephyr sets up traps of the booby variety and prepares to whittle the army down before they even arrive. But, taking advantage of his forward scouting position, also managed to orchestrate a meeting with his mother, the Queen Tebedra, who revealed that she truthfully has no intentions of actually conquering the city, and simply wants assurance that the party will not once again go back on their word to help her husband. If the party's word is good, she promises that she has the ability to simply turn the enemy army away. And if they fail to do so, then she is more than content to betray her newfound allies as easily as she betrayed you. A Tebedran is, after all, always cheating. But as Tebedra prepares for war, all is not well. Princess Summer is recluding herself in the dungeons with her ailing father, refusing to leave his bedside for any reason, as she is convinced now that everyone is out to get her, only out for the throne and nothing more. And somewhere in the city, rumors abound that the mysterious Wolfhound, a legendary assassin who has never been caught and never been bested, is lurking, supposedly skulking the castle grounds, not helping Summer's perception that Caleb is out for her life. As rumors fly, and negotiations, and of course, soldiers march, we return to our heroes, or the Osli. Zephyr, you begin, along with the captain, to work your way back to Rosewick. A long trip ahead of you, but from what your mother tells you, a relatively safe one. For you. You know where the traps are. Caleb, you've motivated the troops and prepared them for the coming army. Watses is on his way with reinforcements from Fuse. And Lucian, you said you had something you'd like to do?
Remind me, is there a graveyard?
It is somewhat small, but yes, there is a graveyard here.
How small are we talking? Like,
Tebadrans do not traditionally bury their dead. Only the important or honored dead are typically buried. However, you know that not too far from the town square, a little on the north side, there is a small little lot of sorts where some improvised graves have been made for those who insisted on having them.
right. I will gather my supplies. I spent a lot of money. I am going to go to the biggest area that I can get and get as many dead bodies as I can and lay them.
Oh no.
Put the black onyx gems on all of the corpses. She takes a deep breath and rolls her neck as she is going to cast Create Undead.
Okay.
Well, this is gonna go over smoothly.
They're under my control for 24 hours.
I think he more means like from on a perception level.
Well, I mean, what?
All right. So, uh, now obviously digging up all of these bodies first is going to take you a little bit.
No, I'll
So,
repeat what says.
uh,
I
and
like
yeah,
that.
and yeah. So I was going to say, are you willing to work through the night for this, or do you want to just have What's-His dig them up while you get some rest, and then once he's dug them up, you can take over and start the ceremony in the morning?
Absolutely. Well, actually, I think I have to do it during the night. And let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, only cast at night.
Oh. Okay. In that case, make me an athletics check with advantage.
Ooh. Okay, okay. Be kind to me, please. It was not kind. It fell on the floor.
I just wanna ask real quick. Did we talk about this? Did I just forget?
No, we haven't.
Okay,
Acrobatics, correct?
good to know.
Athletics.
Athletics. Yeah, that's a -1. So 18.
Okay.
Not bad.
Oh yeah, this. Bob the
gotta
Necromancer.
gotta
Today
tell
we're doing
me
an
how
unboxing.
strange but relieving this is.
Okay.
I'm Bob. Today we're doing an unboxing.
All right. So, just so I know, which spell are you casting and at which level, so I know how many
I
dead you're getting.
can be cast at the one level. I've already ticked it, I think.
Oh no, no. Again, it's just so I know how many you summon.
As many. I spent a lot. I don't remember how much I spent, to be honest with you. And I will spend more if I need to.
Yeah,
I have.
up
I
to
will take.
corpses. You can animate resurrect over 4. Using an 8th level spell, you can know 5 or 2. Okay. So, what level are you casting it at?
So let me look and see what I ticked it off as, or where it's undead 6.
It's a 6th level spell, but you can upcast it to be a 7th level. So, which
Okay,
one did you do?
so how many can I raise at 6?
At 6, you can raise 3, and at 7, you can raise 4.
All right, let's do 7. No, well, no. Let's do 6.
Okay. So you will summon 3 corpses. Just seeing how long it lasts. And under control for 24 hours. Okay. All right. Lucian.
I cracked my knuckles. It's been a while.
You can hear the distant hoofbeats and prepare to meet What's-His at the front gates. And sure enough, he and the twins return with a small group of Tebadrons at their back. It seems Fuse was not quite as willing to lend all of themselves to the cause, but they still have brought what appears to be a little over 50 extra hands.
Great. I will direct them to the general.
And once you sent them on your way, you Shanghai What's-His into assisting you with your grave robbing. And
I'll do the pretty girl routine for him. Helpless damsel in distress.
And you dig up and lay out 3 corpses. You're not sure who these people are. You suspect they're significant to Tebadrons, but
Honestly, there.
yeah, at the moment, you're just concerned about bodies. And with a deep breath and a nervous trepidation, you cast a necromantic spell. The corpses begin to twitch and their eyes open as they rise to meet you as ghouls.
Ooh. So their orders are to basically they're like bodyguards. Don't attack unless we're being attacked.
Okay.
So she only got 3 out of it?
Yeah. Which I will note on your army count.
Oh, you're gonna have to tell me how. I choose to use my 7th level right now. I'm saving that for something special.
I think the highest level is 10th, right? It's half of max level?
Yeah,
9?
ninth is the for spell level. Yeah, it's the highest it goes. Lucian, the creatures obey your command to act as bodyguards and follow you wherever you go.
Alright. I will he'll go ahead of us. So nobody will be scared of the zombies. And yes, they said that they needed help at the west wall, right?
Yeah, because there's a hole there that the army could, in theory, just walk through.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna have my zombies stay in the hole and just stand there and unless like if somebody attacks me, have permission to retaliate.
Okay.
That's just
Anything?
blah blah blah. And then I will go and find the rest of the party with lessons.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to do in this night? All right. And Zephyr, I know you did specify this last time, but I know it's been a while, so I figured I should double check. Are you going to match pace with the captain, or just speed ahead of him to get to Rosewick faster? Okay. Yes, that's what you said last time. Just clarifying. All right. In that case, Caleb, with the people rallied, Lucian, with your undead at your command and guarding the western breach, and Zephyr trekking through the booby-trapped jungle with the captain.
Before we leave, I'll just be like, they're friendly.
Most of the Tebadrians certainly do a double take at the site, but once they realize what you're doing and how you did it, they seem relatively indifferent. You catch a few of them even throwing rocks at them just to mess with them.
Yeah, that sounds like Tebadrians.
Be nice.
Yeah, like fucking you. Like again, their graveyard is literally just a small, like little dirt pile that just really, really grieving families use to honor their dead. Like most Tebadrians could give a crystal shit if someone dies.
Yeah, Tebadrians would be the type that we would absolutely poke a bear.
Fine. It's fine. This is recycling. They get to do.
Oh yeah, they seem to agree with you. These people were useful in life. Let's make them useful in death.
Really.
I mean, yeah, it is all about survival, so I guess that would be like the ultimate thing is to be useful, and
Yeah,
even after death.
plus Tebadrians think it's kind of weird to like make a big scene when you die because Tebadrians really emphasize the kind of, stay in the shadows, don't make a scene mentality.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll go find Caleb to complain that I'm with my zombies.
What?
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit.
Oh, I was just saying that when she finds Caleb, she's taking a note to complain about the army teasing her. Yeah.
Zephyr, are you going to push all the way through the night, or are you going to set up camp at some point and then just set off once you've rested? Okay. All right, so I'm just noting that down so I know when you get back to Rosewick. Okay.
When that army makes camp, they're all just gonna be like, oh, oh.
Fuck. For context, for those listening, we were running some math behind the scenes. We'll get to it soon, but yeah, Zephyr's booby traps worked.
Zephyr's like, did you expect anything else?
That said, Zephyr, as the rest of the party makes themselves comfortable in the Bear's Lodge, you set up camp in the Sprintwood, carefully monitoring your surroundings. The captain, of course, offering to help watch your surroundings. And you settle in, making sure you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for what comes. You all get a long rest.
Yay.
Zephyr, you will be arriving at Rosewick soon, but because the others will be there first. Caleb and Lucian, long rested and awakened. Is there anything noteworthy you'd like to do before Zephyr returns?
Caleb is just going to
Oh,
continue working with the general.
I'll stop Caleb for a second.
Yes.
Probably should let you know there's some zombies on the western wall. They're mine. They're fine. It's fine. Well, I said I was going to. That's what I'm doing. I'm complaining. Your boys keep on teasing them. It's funny, actually. She kind of smiles.
Well, as long as they aren't a distraction.
I mean, they're here to protect, so.
Hopefully they can do a good job.
Are we meeting? Are we meeting your mother at the front gate, or the queen, I should say, not your mom?
I don't know. I was going to talk to the general about this.
I'll come with you. I'll go with him. Rip Matthew.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Hit the button, my bad. The two of you start making your way out of the Bear's Lodge to go meet the general. On the way out, Rahutai kind of lazily raises a shot glass to the two of you. And Caleb, your father, next to him, a cloak covering his head, looks up just enough to give you a smile and a wink before he turns his attention back to his companion. The two of them seem to be muttering to each other about something. As the two of you make your way out and head for the western wall, sure enough, the general is there, sitting up on the wall and kind of watching with a grin. As Lucian, you see a pair of Tabadran boys appear to have started making a game of throwing rocks off of your zombies' heads, and then the other one tries to catch the rock when it bounces off, and then they switch.
Yeah, a new game of zombie cats.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like they're playing wall ball, but with a zombie.
I'll just kind of give a chuckle. I'll be like, Caleb, you want to join them?
unfortunately, there's important business to do.
Right.
The general, seeing you two coming, gives a smirk and hops off the wall, landing with a huff as he approaches the two of you. Your friend's good at making toys, Your Majesty.
Oh, you flatter me.
Every so often, your conversation is interrupted by the dull dunk of a rock hitting one of the zombie skulls. Every so often, one of them will give a when it happens.
I'm sure in some other kingdoms they would find the idea of their dead being used like this troubling, but you'll find Tibetans aren't as concerned about such things.
Yeah. If she didn't make them dance, I would just be eating them.
I mean, you're free to do whatever you want when they're done being useful.
I don't know, they might be kind of rotten, don't you think?
I mean, if he can stomach it, maybe he likes his food spicy. I don't know.
He gives a smile and I have family who dines on the dead. This will be no different.
Kind of gives a grin. They're pretty much done being useful like late tonight, unless they die. You know, can they die?
Well,
Huh?
anyway,
True, I heard.
What do you need, Your Majesty?
I was wondering if the queen wishes to speak before the fight starts. Do you think we should meet at the gate or just yell at them from the wall?
Hmm. Well, that depends, Your Majesty. And he kind of leans against the wall. What sort of impression are you looking to make? Do we wish to take the high ground, the low ground, or meet as equals?
Hmm. Well, I was originally thinking to be on the wall because just in case they wanted to try anything funny. If they
Low
wish to
ground
have,
it is.
if they wanted to, I guess if they wanted to get into some finer details, we could find a meeting spot in the city, one on one.
If I could interject here, Caleb, I'm not sure if that's a good idea. I have this inkling that maybe you should meet
Uh,
as mutuals.
you're cutting out a bit. If
Yeah,
you
I
can.
can't
Hang
understand
on,
you.
let me fix my internet. Hang on. There we go. Hello?
Hello. All right, continue.
Sorry about that. My internet's been spotty today. Sweetie, you're breathing in your mic.
Just doubles
I knew
down.
you were going to do that. But if I may interject, I think it would maybe be better to meet as equals. I mean, we do want her to listen to what we have to say. I think that maybe she wouldn't listen to somebody who tries to, and she kind of like shifts awkwardly higher than her, if you understand. I just think it
Yes.
would be better to meet down there with her.
There is a third option. Depending on the exact nature of these negotiations, if they're not trying to negotiate us into a surrender, which it does not seem they are, we should invite their representatives inside.
I do like.
I was originally thinking of that as a next step, but if you think that'd be a decent first step, then very well.
He kind of gives a bit of a shrug and, your orders are final, my lord. I'm just offering input.
I may
We
interject
can do
as
that.
well.
We can
If
do
I
that.
think
We would need somewhere to where discussion can be held.
Hmm. The
you have a
square should suffice.
if it's just the if it's just the queen, and what about Queen Wyborn? I'm sure she's gonna want to butt in too.
Likely the dark elf girl as well.
Mm-hmm. So why don't we invite them for tea?
Hmm. We would be taking the high ground, but we may lose a defensive advantage having enemies on the inside. So it comes down, and he looks to you, Caleb. To you. Are you expecting this to turn into a bloodbath? And he licks his chops with a grin, seeming like he himself is hoping for that. Or do you want to try and get out of this with little life lost?
Well, I think there is possibly a way to get out of it fairly easily and achieve and for people to achieve things they've been wanting to achieve. So, but one thing that would help is I believe Zephyr is setting traps. Have you been able to any word on how effective those traps have been?
He kind of gives a shake of his head. We have not had time to see the results. However, Zephyr and the captain of the scout regiment have yet to return. If they're not dead, then they should be back soon. They'll likely know more.
I can send out Mishka in a bird form, and he can come and report.
As you wish.
It would be useful to know if the traps have been effective, then it might give us more leverage.
Sure. I will call Mishka as a bird.
Okay.
I'll just be like, I know you like being a cat, but can you be a bird for just like 20 minutes?
All right. Go ahead and deduct the find familiar cost, and you set your bird loose to scout out the effectiveness of the booby traps.
Oh, I don't have to. It's a.
Zephyr's got his character sheet up on the stream.
I do it at a. I can do it as a ritual now.
Well, no, it's not because remember, changing the form, you still have to use the
it
components.
doesn't. Yeah. The components. Yeah.
It's I believe 10
I'm sorry.
gold.
I misunderstood. I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah. I mean, again, there's stuff that they sell that stuff here, so you can just knock off 10 gold.
Got a dragon in the background.
Rawr.
All right. Anything else from you guys before Zephyr returns? Okay. The day begins to pass. Caleb, you're given a head count that while a few Tibadrins have been getting a little nervous, it seems that the lack of distinct support from Fuse has a few of them a little concerned.
Didn't Fuse send some people?
No, they did, just not as many as they were hoping. Like, basically, because the people of Rosewick heard your speech, so all of them are, like, motivated to help, at least those who are capable, but Fuse just got, like, hey, if you want your kingdom to survive, we need your help, and Tibadrins aren't really the type to stick their necks out when they don't have to. But at the moment, the general is able to give you a report that if everyone who currently claims they're willing to fight fights, you have just shy of 400 people. It's not the biggest army in the world, but it's doable.
Well, whenever you got walls, you can make a lot work.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you just have to hope that the defensive advantage helps you.
Oh, so Caleb was gonna suggest to the general that since they're not 100% certain what the people from Fuse will be like, they'll give them. He suggests that maybe they can be used on the walls, and then, 50, basically to replace 50 people from Rosewick who can then be used to defend the breach.
All right, noted.
Basically, have the more determined people in the most important place while having
put the cowards in somewhere where, like, if they fall back, it's not a huge deal. All right. As you help the general with these plans, and Lucian, as mentioned, you can recast your undead spell if you want to maintain your zombies. Otherwise,
yeah, I want to. Yeah, I definitely want to do that.
Okay. In that case, Caleb, as you're finalizing the battle plans with the general, passes on things to the Oathbreakers, and...
Oh, and one more thing. Caleb wanted to have a significant number of the people defending the hole in the wall to have, like, ranged weapons, so that way they can just fire into the gap.
Alright, got it.
With, like, maybe a small contingent of, like, people who are good with melee fighting to hold the line.
To recast it, I'll go over to the boys playing zombie ball and just be like, can I borrow my ghouls here for a minute? I just need to make sure that they continue being friendly. I kind of, like, give them a little sisterly glare.
The two boys kind of shrug a little bit, and just, yeah, go for it.
I'll just be like, I'm gonna impress them. I'll just, like, summon all of the dark magic that I can, and just swoosh them with some creepy magic.
All right.
Just showing off.
Also, one time when Caleb passes by the ghouls while he's like on the wall, he's gonna throw a rock down at him.
The two boys
Yeah,
look a
we-
little confused at first, but then give a cheer when they see it was you.
we gotta make this like a real game now.
Yeah, I'll note that becomes like a new tradition among Tavadrans.
Yeah, it's just we make like a people-shaped thing to throw rocks at.
Yeah, practice your aim. All right, so the fighters from Fuse are going on the walls. 50 crossbowmen guarding the breach. Caleb, as you're giving the orders, what's up?
I was gonna say maybe like I was gonna say like maybe like 35 crossbowmen and like 10 people who can like hold the line to try to slow them down.
Okay, 35
But how?
crossbowmen and 10
But try to
infantry.
put the people with crossbows or whatever they have. I assume
Yeah,
crossbows.
crossbows. So,
I didn't know if any agents have stolen any guns recently.
not anymore. Remember, you chased off the only guy who dealt in gunpowder.
Oh yeah. Well, I thought we could steal some from people.
Well, and bear in mind, just because they can do that doesn't mean you have consistent enough ammunition to use them consistently, nor do these people really know how to use them properly.
I know. Kind of add it to the list.
All right.
Yeah, basically have them like, well, to have like at least a few people who know how to use them for this kind of situation.
All right.
Crossbows are nice and all, but but it's like you can literally, all you gotta do is put a gun in someone's hand and have them practice shooting. With a crossbow, it's like you gotta like do the whole crank to get it all wound up. It's like
I get your point. All right.
there's a reason why guns became popular and crossbows died off. And easier to use. It's literally point and shoot.
As Lucian, you reassert your control of the undead. And Caleb, you start making divisions for your army. Eventually,
I was gonna note he's gonna have the ranged people like elevated so they can shoot over the infantry.
Got it.
Can I have my boys protect those specific children?
Noted. All
Are you
right.
still at the wall?
Yeah. All right. Caleb, as you start giving orders to the troops, dividing them up into organized lines, and Lucian, you reassert your control of the undead and smile fondly as the children continue their game.
Also,
Matthew, those stats better say a Lefikirian ghoul.
I'll make a note of it. And Caleb?
If I remember right, didn't Caleb get some things for some of the party members from the vault?
Yeah, I got a couple items. Why?
What were the items again? I don't know if they ever got added.
They should have. I remember making them. Let me pull up your inventory here.
Oh, there we go. Animated shield.
Yeah, you got everything.
Yeah, wand of mage armor and wand of fog cloud. Yeah, that was for Lucian, the wands, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you, but
you never gave anything to Lucian.
Well, yeah, we ended.
Well,
the session,
I didn't have a chance.
Yeah, we. All right, so you want to hand off the wands to Lucian while you can?
Yes, he'll give the wand of fog cloud and the wand of mage armor to Lucian.
All right, Lucian, you may add those to your inventory. Those are on D&D Beyond.
Fog cloud.
Yeah, a wand of fog cloud and a wand of mage armor, so that if you're the squishy one, so if shit starts going south, you can retreat.
What was that? What were you trying to say, Austin, before everyone was just talking over you?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, it's there if you you know what they say. Sometimes it's better to have something and never need it, and than to need it and not have it.
Yeah, fair.
The fog cloud might be more useful, and I think he was going to give the shield to
What's it? As I recall.
Yeah, does he use shields?
Yeah. Yeah, he typically shield in one hand and weapon in the other. He used to, but he switched to using shields recently.
Oh, I have to be attuned to those. That's not happening.
Well, you have them.
Yeah, that's one problem I had is Matthew didn't give me a chance to give those items to them.
I mean,
He
like,
just
the
ended the
session ended. I
session.
don't know what you want me to do. Yeah, like, she has to pick. Yeah, like, you have to pick and choose what items you use. All right.
I got my Pearl of Power, my Ring of Warmth from my girlfriend, and my Anarchist cookbook that I've yet to.
Yeah, but that's no
wish,
fun.
Do I have to attune
but
to
I wish you could see
all
how
of
glaring at the
Does it
phone.
list it if they're attunement?
Yeah, if you equip it, it'll say at the bottom of your inventory, like, items that require attunement and which ones you are currently attuned to.
I glared. I did glare.
Okay, the goggles don't show up down there, so they don't require attunement.
All right, so while you guys are doing inventory management, Caleb, you divide the troops. Lucian, you
What does it
research
say on
the
these?
undead.
I don't see the symbol by the wands.
Oh, really?
Have you tried to? Well, hang on, let me.
They don't have the
Let me-
symbol
let-
next to them. The sword, the scimitar of warning has the
Oh.
attunement symbol.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
wands don't have attunement symbol, so they don't require attunement.
Oh, awesome! That's great. Thank you for
Neither
saying.
does the shield, neither does the sword, neither does none of these items I got require attunement, so they can just be used.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
they don't.
hear?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, they don't. They don't require it.
You hear the light snap of a twig, but as all attention and weapons turn to the sprint wood, out comes the captain of the scouts, hands in the air, but with a humorous grin on his face. And not far behind him, Zephyr.
I'll have a zombie just wave at Zephyr. A zombie waves at you.
The captain takes off his hat and breathes a sigh of relief at being back at the city and turns to you, Zephyr. May I take your leave, Your Highness? He gives you a bow of the head, a similar gesture to you, Caleb, and marches past all of you back into the city. At this point, night has fallen. The enemy army will be here any day now, although you suspect the traps may be slowing them down.
Did the bird report back yet?
Not yet. That is a pretty good amount of distance to cover even for a bird. It will be back soon, just not yet.
Yeah, Mishka's doing what Mishka does best. Oh, hello, Zephyr.
Yeah, that'd help.
I can hear him.
I was
No, like he
muted on
meant for the
stream.
stream.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Alright.
I think Zephyr already took a bunch of stuff he wanted, so I didn't get anything for him.
Yeah.
Alright. Zephyr, you've returned to Rosewick. Is there anything anyone would like to do in the night?
Rest.
Of course, yeah. But I mean, like, besides resting.
No.
I will talk to the party.
Okay. Caleb, real quick, anything from you before that starts?
No, I think he was just going to help the general with finalizing the defense.
Alright. Zephyr, you approach as Caleb finalizes the defenses, and Lucian fondly watches as two young Tabedra boys continue to play zombie ball. Or no, ghoul ball. We're calling it ghoul ball.
Ghoul ball.
As you approach the party with something on your mind, what do you say?
Well, It seems like this is all pretty much situated already out. Not really sure. There's not much for us to do anymore.
What are
And
you
we
talking
just
about?
gotta wait.
Well, by the sounds of it, our dear mother wishes not to even fight, so we just, well, we do need to make sure we get the king fixed, otherwise we will fight.
I believe the doctor said that they can fix that, right?
She said that she was going to do the best that she could in the small amount of time that she has got. I haven't seen her since we spoke to
Don't I
her.
have a sample?
I also have a sample.
Almost everyone,
Yeah, I think
apparently.
most of the party keeps one on hand now. And yes, Dr. Knight said when she gave a report, she said that actually by today the formula should be finished.
Okay, yeah, I'll relay that.
I think we
Well,
should.
then we don't have anything to worry about.
I think we
Unless
should
that
use
army
it.
decides to keep trying.
But first off, I think we should use it now. But there are other things we need to talk about.
What's on your mind?
Well, for starters, like I said, we should make sure we use the ejector as quickly as we can.
I don't think that we can get to him and get him prepared because Summer will not let us get up there without
Without what?
with the Queen.
Without the queen? I don't think the Summer's waiting for the queen. Summer's just
Uh,
waiting for an answer. Which, if that is what we're bringing.
But I have my doubts if she will believe that we have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be beyond reproach at this point.
Then what? How would bringing the mother in change that?
Well,
ma-
Mother, if she believes we have a way to fix it, even Summer won't stop her from making it happen.
I think we should present the option. Because frankly, getting this done now is better than doing it later.
I did. She
Well,
didn't want me anywhere near her. I could do the procedure, but she doesn't want me anywhere near him.
well, you don't have to be near.
Are you talking about Dr. Knight or Marula now?
I mean, as long as someone can do it, then it really doesn't matter who.
I agree.
We could present the option to her. If she accepts it, then when the Queen gets here,
I'd say we do it now.
I agree. I think we should have done it days
let
ago.
me finish. When the Queen gets here, she can have what she wants. Though for bringing an army to our gate, she's going to have to leave after that.
Sounds like that's what's her plan to begin with.
Well, then this should go smoothly. We can present the option. If Summer takes it, we cure the king, and he can go with the queen.
It sounds like we need to talk with Dr. Knight.
If they don't have it ready or Summer doesn't let us in, then we won't have any other options.
All right.
So we do have some of the stabilizers already ready if necessary.
I think that wasn't the problem. I think it was just we were trying to get confirmation. But I guess where's Dr. Knight staying again?
I took her into the castle. I think didn't it? Is that
No,
where?
there was an abandoned apothecary that she set up
yeah.
I was like, what?
The apothecary. Let's go. I'll lead the way.
All right. Unless anyone wants to stay behind, you all make your way out to the abandoned herbalist shop where Dr. Knight has set up her temporary lair of sorts. And Lucian, as you approach and giving a brief knock before opening, you and Dr. Knight almost actually kind of run into each other, and she kind of stumbles back a little bit, clutching at her bag, before sighing with a smile as she realizes it's you three. And her ears kind of twitch in excitement as she gives a broad smile. Ah, wasn't expecting to see y'all so late. Well, I got good news. I can fix it.
Well, that's
Oh,
just why
Lucian
we were
gives the
coming over.
yeah. Lucian gives the biggest smile.
Lucky he's actually really compatible with the other half we picked for him. All we need to do is give him a shot, and he'll balance out.
I can't remember. Did y'all just pick one at random? Or did you actually try to find one that worked?
She gives a bit of a wince, seeming guilty, and looks down at the floor. Random, I'm afraid. The lady didn't want him to survive this.
It's not your fault. You were doing what you had
What
to.
did they tell you? Just grab one?
She gives a nod. I always keep I always did keep a few of the formulas on hand. They said it didn't matter which one, as long as he didn't survive. I had never seen an Ichor beast besides all of you stabilized before, so I figured it wouldn't matter. After the ball, he'd outlived his usefulness. Lady in White didn't have any more point to him. She kind of gives
Do
a
you know
sigh,
exactly
seeming
what
a little
his
uncomfortable.
role was supposed to be?
They didn't go much into specifics, but, well, like I said, the lady in white, she... mind if we talk about this inside?
Yeah,
All
please.
She kind of gestures hurriedly for all of you to enter before she shuts the door. You can see Tuco napping at her work table. She gives the underling a fond
Curled up
smile.
like rat. I think rats curl up, right?
Yeah. And she gives the underling a fond smile. If it wasn't for your friend here, I might not have gotten it done in time. He managed to help me expedite the creation of it. But as far as I've tested, it still seems stable. But we won't know for sure until I get to test it on his blood directly. But she gives a smile and hops up onto one of the stools and kicks her feet nervously as she seems to know that she's not going to get out of this without more information on the exact nature of her work with the Lady in White.
I also been wondering a question.
What's that, sweetie?
You mentioned how essentially I was the original, or it was stated that I was the original.
Patient zero. Your blood is the base of all the infection.
Yes. As I've learned about my blood, it's apparently special.
She
But-
gives a nod.
But my main question is, during who found the wreckage?
Originally, she bites her lip and looks down at the ground. The dwarves found it first, the Egesians. It was around the same time they took your... She doesn't finish, but she kind of nods nervously to Caleb. They found it while they were out scouting. Your parents were left behind. They said that they were expecting to be picked up, and I guess whoever they were waiting on never came. The dwarves captured them. We had never seen anything like you before, but we assumed you were some kind of underdark creature. She kind of nervously runs a hand through her hair. I was there running experiments, studying, you see. I already had sworn to be an oath breaker, and she nods to Tuco. His people. I was getting answers from them on how to perfect my research. But when they brought your mother and father to me, asking to identify what you were, I'd never seen anything like you. But when I found a contagion in your father's blood, I realized that your blood could be the answer I'd been looking for. I spread disease because it's necessary, but, well, and she gestures to her face. You already know what I wanted out of this. She swallows and looks to the side, seeming like she's going out of her way to look anywhere but at you guys. So I told them to keep your parents alive so that I could keep drawing blood, keep testing this contagion. My master was happy, and I was closer than ever to getting what I wanted. But it was after I perfected it, or progressed on it at least, that she found me. The lady in white came to me while I was out running an experiment in the woods. She said that she could help me if I helped her. That her and I were a lot alike. She saw herself in me. I was desperate. I knew no one could ever love me looking like this. I had to take what I could get. But then we started getting more people involved. Kaloum, Lucifer, Droop. Things got out of control. I'd never intended for it to go this far. I was just going to experiment on the prisoners, figure out how to change what I was, and that would be the end of it. I would turn my research over to my master, and I would leave. I would go home. But going home just kept getting further and further away. Our objective kept getting bigger and bigger. It wasn't just about changing ourselves anymore. It was about spreading. It was about making everyone like that. Everyone. I think if everyone realized just how much their goals don't align, they would be at each other's throats. But everyone's foolish enough to think that they're benefiting themselves when the only one they're benefiting is her.
What is her ultimate plan?
She shakes her head with a sigh. She never told me. Always kept it close to the chest. Doesn't trust
You're the
anyone, but
one working on this. Surely she has told you the direction she wants you to go. Could it seem smart? Couldn't you? Don't you have some ideas?
I have theories, but that's all. She said I didn't need to know. Said that it wouldn't affect me, so unless we were friends, she wouldn't share. And I just couldn't do it. But like I said, I have theories.
What's your best one?
Have you ever heard the story of the Lady of Chussets?
Lucian
I
brings
believe
out her
she
notebook
was.
that she's been theorizing in and hands it to.
If I remember right, that's the story where the lady has like the weird look and meets a king and but
The
then
Emperor.
meets an emperor. Yeah, that's right.
She gives an enthusiastic nod and looks over your notes before nodding to you, Lucian, and handing the book back over. While I was running my experiments, I found something in the Underdark, an edict, when I was helping set up the lab. They were worshipping her like a god.
I think
But
the one that's frozen over now.
she gives a nod.
Yeah, we saw that.
She gives a nod and leans forward. She never visited them. She never visits in person. How would they know what she looks like? We never told them.
Maybe they knew her before somehow.
She gives a nod. I think The lady in white may be the Lady of Chussets come to life. I know it's just a fairy story, but that's honestly my best guess. It's the only thing I can think of.
Lucian nods. That's the conclusion that I came to as well. But
We did meet an emperor too.
yeah, we did. But the thing that I find interesting is when we were in the edict, found an altar to her.
Yeah, that's what she said. They were worshipping her.
Like, I guess I don't remember what my check was back then, so I might have to do another one.
It was a religion check, and you do not know of any religion. You are vaguely aware that there is a sort of cult that worships someone that looks like this, but you were foggy on the details. It's a very obscure religion.
Right, so she'll just comment, other than, obscure, fairy tales like that, what other explanation do we have? I mean, the Emperor came back.
What?
Yeah, he talked to us a few days ago.
Yeah, he was here.
Oh
I can't
my
remember
gods.
what he said.
The lady in white's been hunting for him for years. Never came any closer to finding him, but she said if any of us saw him out there, we were to kill him on sight.
Oh, hopefully you've changed your mind on that.
She throws her hands up and leans back. I'm not a fool, son. I have no bone to pick with him. Whatever is going on between them is their business. But if what you say is true, then that does support our theory. And if she is the Lady of Chussets, then, well, think about the life she led. From the moment she was born, people beat and abused her because of the way she looked. She had no control over that. I know what her condition is. It's harmless. But, and she gives a bit of a shrug. People judge. People talk. And that affects how they treat you. She looks to the side and runs a hand over her greasy goblin head. I
Did
think
patrons have that problem, Matthew?
not as
Can
much,
I-
but okay, hang on, one person at a time. To Caleb, since he spoke up first. Caleb, you know that Dimitri, being blind, was able to get a job as a highwayman, so they clearly put faith even in the traditionally outcast. However, you know with Tebadrins, that's more a matter of necessity than it is of preference. And you remember your father was very prejudiced himself, because he could afford to be. He's a king.
Yeah, Caleb's like,
Mhm.
honestly, I find it so much simpler in Tebaja. We don't judge people like that. At least, not the true Tebajans.
She gives a little bit of a smirk at your clarification, but nods. And Lucian?
She's gonna go over to Dinah and just like wrap her arms around her. It wasn't until I met a little goblin girl when I just didn't know that I was being above everybody, and she didn't treat me different.
She gives a small smile and puts an arm around you to return the hug while still being able to look at the rest of you. And she gives a nod. It's not easy out there for us, but she kind of shakes her head but that's going to change for me soon, and I think that's what the lady in white wants too. Maybe she wasn't lying then. Maybe she wanted the same thing I did at some point, just to change herself. You remember how the story goes, right? First it was the maids, then it was the butlers, and then she started hearing it everywhere. Depending on who tells the story, some people say the Emperor really did find her hideous. Others say that he really did love her all along and she was just seeing ghosts. But I wouldn't blame her if she did. I know what it's like.
The way I see it, I think there's two possibilities. Either she's trying to change herself, or, out of some ironic spite, wants to make everyone into the monster they saw her to be.
That certainly sounds right, and it would explain everything that's happened since then.
You said that she wanted to spread it to everyone, not just herself, right?
She gives a nod. The only one who's not being told to spread it is Kaloum, but that's just because he doesn't want to, and she allows him. I think he's the only one she actually trusts.
You think Kaloum would know more about her actual goals?
Absolutely. You have to understand, children. All of us are terrified of her. Droop, Lucifer, Wyborn, even me. I've seen that woman bend people over, forcing them to bow to her. I've seen her command the general of Gyogre to obey her for nothing in return. That woman has a way of getting what she wants, but the only man I ever saw who spoke to her as if she was an equal was Dr. Kaloum. And he was the only one she never punished. Well,
Fake
except
Kaloum.
for once.
What was that?
She gives a bit of a smile and kicks her feet a little bit. I overheard it when I passed by his bedroom. And she looks to you, Lucian. Did your brother ever tell you how him and Kaloum first started talking?
She shook her head. I have had it really talk.
Kaloum got cocky and got a little too mouthy. I think I've told you already, he never wanted to help the general, never wanted the general involved. He said, and I remember it clearly, your children deserve what happened to them, and you deserve what's happening now. But the lady in white told him to listen. He mouthed off, so she punished him. Only time she ever did. She said, as punishment for disobeying her, while he works on reviving the Gyogre children, he has to be put with the most annoying member of our team.
Well, apparently he took to him.
Lizzie just starts laughing and just falls over.
She gives a smile at your amusement and nods to you, Caleb, with a wide grin. Remember, most of us up there can't stand each other at the best of times. Kaloum least of all. I think the only one I hate more than him is Wyborn.
Wait. So why does my brother think he's in love with this guy? Like, what happened there?
I don't know. They were forced to share a room until the project was finished. I wasn't involved because Kaloum said he was above using my formulas. By the time I saw them again, they were thick as thieves. I don't know what happened in that room, but apparently it works for them.
Caleb is just like, I think I know full well what happened in that room.
Really? Because I'm completely clueless. I have no idea what it was. What, one night? What happens in one night?
Dr. Knight's brow kind of furrows and she kind of puts a hand on your shoulder and, sweetheart, do you know how long it takes to build a construct?
Yes.
So why do you think it was one day, sweetheart?
She's still her brow.
They weren't allowed out of that room for months.
Well, then I guarantee you I know at least one thing that happened in that room, judging by
Sweetie,
their
you are
release.
too young for that. You shouldn't be talking like that.
Caleb, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's nothing, sweetie. Don't worry about it.
He's trying to protect you.
Look, there's something you got to understand about humans. There's two things we think about the most.
Her brow kind of furrows and
Food.
That's actually something noted about humans in our
No.
setting there.
I had a quip. Food and evolution.
Dr. Knight kind of coughs into her hand and, seeming intent on changing the subject, leans forward and... Anyway, but that really is all I know. Everyone else wants to spread it, or at least they're benefiting from it. I actually don't know if Droop's ever used it. Of course, Droop's never been that involved in the actual proceedings. For the most part, all we have
Yeah.
them do is...
I'm gonna have some more things Caleb's gonna ask, but I gotta go get food, and like I'm looking at like how this session is going, and it's like there's no stopping point coming up.
You gotta please, by all means.
So don't move on from this until I've had a chance to ask a couple more things.
Noted.
Don't
Assuming
worry.
everyone else has something, we can at least do that. So, that being said, I'll just continue.
I'll be right back. Gotta go get food.
Droop just pays for everything. I don't know if they've used the Ichor yet. Kaloum said they never intended to use it and never would. They only did once, and that was the only time we were forced to work together on something. I hate the man, but I can't deny he's brilliant.
Who did he revive?
What's his?
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
He was fuming the whole time. Said
What?
I worked so hard putting them in the ground once, and now they're coming back.
What happened? Like, you know that that's not really Kaloum, right?
So you've told me, but you haven't exactly offered me an alternative. It's the only name I've known him by.
When I first met him, I knew him as Watson.
She gives a smirk and leans back. And you knew me as Marula.
I still have my suspicions about you.
I'll admit that's fair. I'll probably spend the rest of my life regretting my involvement with this, but I didn't have a choice. She would have killed me if I said no, and this was the only way forward for me.
He told me that too, when I asked him to come with me, to travel with us, to be on our side. He said that he couldn't.
None of us can. The Lady in White's offering all of us something that only she can give us. Or at least, only I can give them. And she runs a hand over her bag. But even with me gone, unless I go and clear out my laboratory, I have so many test subjects, so much Ichor. There's easily enough to infect all of Yav. And if they make it that far, I don't think there's going to be any stopping it. My master is proud of me, but I feel awful. She swallows and looks around. But Kaloum said he wasn't interested in spreading it and helping us with our problems. He said he would make us machines when the lady asked. But he only had one objective in mind. Only one thing he wanted more than anything in the world. I remember he once told the lady that even if she killed him making sure he got it, he'd be happy. She said, "I'll make sure you get what you deserve."
You can hear Lucian give a very, very, wry smirk.
For Kaloum, that was just revenge. I don't know what the Gyogres did to him. He never talked about it, but whatever it was, he was furious. I think it was the only time I was ever really scared of him. The anger in his heart. The rage. While I was bringing What's-His back to life, he was staring at him like he wanted nothing more than to strangle the life out of him a second time. I don't know what he did. I don't even know if he remembers now. But all of us want something out of this. That's the only reason we're here. And the Lady in White's giving it to us. What she's getting out of it, I can only theorize. But I think Caleb might be right. She wants to curse everyone else for what they did to her.
Alright, I'm back.
Hello.
What happened?
She talked a little bit about Kaloum, just since like the topic was brought up, and mentioned that while she doesn't know why he never talked about it, she knows that the only reason Kaloum's involved, to the point where he even agreed with the Lady in White that he would happily die to achieve this, is revenge on the Gyogre family. And while Dr. Knight doesn't know why he hates them so much, she knows that whatever his reasons, he really hates them.
Yeah, I think we only got a taste of that anger last time we spoke to him.
Yeah, having a Gyogen around really kind of puts him on tilt.
Yeah, and I spend every day with him, and he kind of annoys me too.
Dr. Knight kind of elbows you a little bit. Be nice.
I'm being nice.
Be nicer.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you're all right, sweetie. And she smiles to you, Caleb. I mean, the only time Kaloum ever made a mistake in the lady's service was when a Gyogre got involved for the first time. I suspect he would have a perfect record even now if it wasn't for the general getting involved.
Well, considering he might know a lot, if I become king, I will give half the treasury to any bandit who brings him to us.
Well, you're going to have a hard time with that. We dropped him off in Gyogre after the ball, and he said he wasn't leaving until the Empire burned.
Yeah, apparently he's leading a rebellion.
I suppose it was only a matter of time. Gyogre's been shrinking every year. It's to the point where they're being forced to sell land to us just to stay above water. The general's losing his grip, and with both of his children under our control, the Lady in White's got him by the balls, and as far as I can tell, she seems content to just let Kaloum do what he wants with him. I suspect, much like your father, Caleb, the general is just a pawn who's already served his purpose. So now he's serving it one last time, being Kaloum's chew toy.
Do you know
Well,
anything about the?
Caleb first.
Do you know anything about the Ichor beast that was in Tabedra Farms?
The ink agony. I remember. It was one of my first projects. One of my first real ones. What about it, sweetie?
Why was it placed there? Sorry, why was it placed there?
Your father asked us to. He said that he would help us if we gave him a kingdom. We said we could pull some strings if he stayed in line. He said he would. So the lady told me to create something that would put an entire village out of commission. So I made the agony. I combined a mermaid with another one of their kind. Two different subspecies, but merfolk all the way through. And, well, no, wait, sorry, I remember now. I combined a mermaid with a naga and set it loose. It put the entire village to sleep.
And they all died like that.
In their beds. I remember. She looks guilty, but
So what you're telling me is the king placed the monster that cursed Tabedra.
she gives a nod. I've been hearing about that. I wasn't expecting its effect to spread that way. It was supposed to just stay in Tabedra Farms and never leave. But I guess it must have just kept feeding, kept growing. I wasn't expecting that. But now that I think about it, I suppose it does make sense. Nagas keep growing as long as they live, and mermaids live for quite a long time. I suppose it just kept getting bigger, and its magic kept getting stronger with it. An unprecedented side effect. I'll have to note that down. And she kind of brushes Tuco to the side to write that down indeed. And what were you going to say, sweetheart? She looks to you, Lucian.
Oh, never mind. It's the moment is gone. It's fine.
She gives a bit of a shrug and spins
So
back around. What's that,
the
sweetie?
queen has brought an army to Tebeja's steps, and the king cursed it. I think that qualifies as treason for their
Oh,
removal.
yeah, but hard to accuse a king of treason. She grins a bit nervously.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you just gotta spin it enough.
Well, I'm rooting for you, sweetie. Is there anything else I can do? I'll help you administer the formula. I want to make sure it goes well, and if not, I'll need to control him.
Is there anything that you need?
No, thank you, sweetie. If you can be there to provide backup, that'll be more than enough.
Yeah, of course.
My children typically listen to me, but not always. I hear you laughing over there, sweetie. You're one of my most disobedient.
Yeah, but there's something about your story that doesn't add up.
What's that?
You mentioned my father had the blood that you were so interested in,
That's right, sweetheart.
but from what I've heard, that's not true.
She tilts her head to the side.
See, what I heard was the mother who was gifted with this blood.
Ah. She gives a nod. That is true. But the infection's latent in your species. But in your kind, it only infects the females. I modified it. I needed your father's blood so that I could be sure it affected both genders. Initially, I didn't care, frankly. She gestures to herself. But I had to be careful. After all, if it couldn't even affect both genders of one species, how could I be sure it would infect another species entirely? I didn't want to start administering syringes until I was sure. It's in your blood, but in you and your father, it's your carriers. It's latent, asymptomatic. From what I managed to extract out of interrogation, it's important to your people.
Interrogation.
Nothing bloody, I assure you, sweetie. Truth potion. I'm a chemist, not a sadist.
And may I ask what happened to the body of. Well, actually, you said that you asked him to keep him alive. Does that mean she was alive?
She gives a slow nod. I I really tried my best, sweetie. I really did, but it was freezing down there. I was used to the cold. All of us were, but she she was getting sick. The dwarves keep their cells so small and filthy. They think that they can just replace anyone who dies down there, but I knew she wasn't going to make it after you were born. I kept your egg safe. I I tried everything I could to keep her alive, but between the sickness and the laying of the egg, it was too much. She lived just long enough to see you hatch, but she knew she wasn't going to make it. So she told me to make sure you got somewhere safe, somewhere where you'd be taken care of, to not live in that hellhole like she did. So I took you away. I I couldn't lose your father, not when I was in so deep. But you didn't deserve that. But a few years go by. And your father says, I've seen what you can do, and can you make me the perfect thief? That one of the only children I got to birth, and he wanted me to turn him into a lab rat. But the lady in white said to do it. I didn't have a choice. So you were the next to turn. And lo and behold, it worked. The formula was stable. I didn't realize it until I saw you at the ball. I thought you were just as feral as the rest of them. But you were special. You could think. You could reason. You could talk. You could plan. Oh, gods, how you could plan. You were smarter than ever after the experiment was finished. You were a genius. I'm just sorry your mother never got to see it.
Mm. And what happened to her? I mean, to her body. Obviously, you already told me that.
I took her to my lab. The lady in white said that we couldn't afford to let the blood go to waste. So I put her with the rest of my test subjects. She's gone, but preserved. Her body won't rot unless I let it. I extracted some of her blood, but I always made sure to keep a supply just in case. She's been being bloodletted over nearly a decade now. I think it actually has been one now. A decade of only waking her up whenever I needed blood and then putting her right back down. But no matter how many times I did it, every time she would tell me the same thing. I forgive you.
Wait, so is she still alive?
She runs a hand through her hair and looks down at the ground. The whole purpose of the Ichor now, I originally only intended it to change, but the lady in white discovered something I missed. That it could raise the dead. And I guess at some point there must have been a cross-contamination. But she doesn't last long outside of a test tube. Brief snippets of consciousness and then back down again. I think if I let her out and took my hands off of her, I'd say if I was watching her constantly, I could maybe keep her alive for 3 days, tops. But you have to understand, her body's not producing blood anymore. It's just producing more of the contagion. Eventually, it would completely overtake her mind. I don't know what would happen then. I've never seen how it affects your species when it goes all the way. But if it's anything like how it affects us here on Terra, it won't be pretty. She doesn't deserve that. So I used your father for blood from that point on. He's a carrier, but it doesn't affect him the same way. And I made sure the dwarves had orders to keep him alive. Of course, state he was in. I suspect they were on the verge of failing me again. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe if you can find something that counteracts the agent, maybe you could, with maybe a little help of some resurrection or healing magic.
Maybe, but
Lucian kind of gives a nod. I can do my best.
I have no idea how it would affect one of your kind, Zephyr, to be completely cured. You've thought about it too, haven't you? What happens to you if your blood is cured out of you? With us, your blood is a disease. It makes us sick. But with you, it's what runs through your heart, what flows into your brain.
Well, you said you have some supply on hand. Couldn't you just cure the blood that's trying to spread and then at the same time replace it with some of the blood you took from her?
But she'd essentially be in the same position she's in now. She wouldn't be able to go anywhere. She'd be trapped.
And the problem is, Caleb, is that the vitals do not work anymore. She's not providing blood, which means that the heart is
Which
not
is
beating.
where the magic would have to come in.
She gives a nod. If we could perform a full resurrection, but
I can do that. No, I can do it.
even Lucifer's never succeeded in that. How can you?
Well, you said the body's been preserved.
The body's been preserved, but there's a difference between creating a zombie and creating a person.
I know. But
I mean, she's done the resurrection, but it has to be very fresh.
yeah, just give me time. I will do more studying and more praying.
How long after her death was she preserved?
In total, it's been 5 days.
Let's see.
So it
5
had been
days.
5 days before she had been preserved?
3 days before she was preserved, but remember, I had to keep taking her out of stasis just to draw more blood out of her. I'd say add all that time together.
Lucian takes out a little notepad and does some calculation.
But
yeah, I can do it.
That's incredible, sweetie. Lucifer was trying. He had to come to the Lady in White to pull that off.
Yes, but that's Lucifer.
Well,
you've seen what he can.
I
Until you can
suppose,
see.
I suppose it's good you took more after me than him, huh?
Oh. Yeah.
But I probably shouldn't say.
No, please.
I think you should tell him that you can do that.
She kind of gives a frown. Why?
Like I said, sweetie, all of us are only here because we have something to get out of it. And we've already discussed what your brother wants.
She gives a nod. I want to talk to him. I want to sit and talk to him. But I promised him a year ago that I would be home. But so many things came up and I just can't.
Sweetie.
I've only been able to talk to him through messages.
All of us in the Concord made our bed. I'm blessed enough that you all chose to get me out of it instead of putting me to sleep for good. I wouldn't blame you if you did. You can't blame yourself for the mistakes he made, or I made. If it wasn't for me, neither of you would be in this mess. You would be dead, but he would live. He could carry on. But he didn't want to carry on alone, so he came to me.
His ultimate problem is he can't let go of people.
Teleficarians can be quite stubborn.
After he saw you at the ball, he was talking my ear off. Said that now that we know it works, we just need to figure out what you did to her and to the others to make them work. And then we can bring everyone back.
The Eggerbees that are in the hedge mage, who are they?
I'm afraid I'm afraid I don't know, sweetheart. The Lady in White just told me to distribute the ichor. Before I found all of you, we didn't know it was possible to make it stable. We thought maybe it was the method of delivery. That's why we poisoned the food at the ball. We thought maybe if they ingested it, if that didn't work, we were going to try doing it via
Did
aerosol.
anyone get infected from that? Because that would be a disaster.
We saw the pigeon disaster, yeah.
We tried everything. And she looks to you, Caleb. I don't know. I remember rumor was spreading that the food had been tampered with, so a lot of people were avoiding it, but if somebody didn't hear those rumors, then they likely would have taken it.
Yeah, apparently my girlfriend did. Not looking forward to that conversation.
But we don't even have a guarantee that that is infectious. She gives a nod. The only method I've ever been able to confirm infects is a direct blood transfusion, or rather, making blood-to-blood contact. And everyone else, I've only ever seen it take hold when they die. And at that point, it never brings them back stable. All of you were the first time I ever brought someone back from the dead without them trying to kill me afterwards.
If we, died even now that we're stable.
The problem with the Ichor, sweetie, is it's blood that's foreign to us. It's Zephyr's blood, his father's blood, his mother's blood. And their blood works different than ours. See, and she holds out a hand and kind of gestures for you to approach. Have you ever been in the cold and felt the blood run out of your fingertips?
You know where we are, right?
Just answer me, sweetie. Don't be sassy.
Yes, I live in Yav.
Do you know why that happens?
If I remember right, I think it's because the body doesn't consider those parts of the body important.
Well, that's a part of it, yes, but the reason the body has to make that judgment call. You see, and if you allow her, she takes your hand and gently runs her claws over your wrists where your veins are visible. Your blood, sweetie, even before I got to you, was a living thing. Your blood's made up of a bunch of living things, all of them thinking in their own way. The reason your fingertips go numb when you're cold is because your blood's trying to escape. It knows that it can't survive in the cold and it's trying to get away. But the blood of Zephyr's people, it's on a whole other level. I know it sounds crazy, but the blood thinks. The blood remembers things. I was able to get it to respond to stimuli, even isolated from a body. The reason the infection is so vicious to our species on this planet, at least, is because it's living blood meeting blood that's a lot less smart than it is. So it overtakes it, but it learns from it. It adapts to it. By the time it's completely encapsulated the body, it's a perfect replica of whatever it took, but mixes in a little bit of what it took from the others. That's why all the Ichor beasts are the way they are. They get the best pieces of both sides, because the blood learns. But the stabilizer makes the blood less aggressive, because your species, Zephyr, they don't feel love the way we do. Most reptiles don't. Because of that, your blood doesn't love either. It just eats. But if it's forced to learn what love feels like, if it's forced to adapt to it, it spread slows. It calms. It goes still. It coexists with your blood rather than overtaking it. So if my hunch is right, when you die, sweetie, the blood will die with you. Because it won't kill you to keep itself alive. Because it loves you.
Well, that's good, because, you see, at the Major, we don't bury dead, so if I died, I'd just be wherever I am, and then I would turn into a monster.
If it's any consolation, sweetie, they wouldn't have had time to bury you.
Don't worry. I'll just turn you into a zombie. It's fine.
Well, I'm glad we all have such comforting methods of getting rid of corpses.
Well, for just out of curiosity, I mean,
Let
for me, I don't
die?
think it's going to be a factor, but, I don't know, maybe...
Caleb. I'm not gonna let you die.
Because, like, what I was trying to ask is, if someone who was stabilized or otherwise had a child, would that child inherit their infected blood?
I have reason to suspect it, but that was Lucifer's job to prove it.
Well, that
Can
seems
you?
like that
Can
plan
you?
failed.
Yeah. Can you? What do you mean?
See, Ickerbeast reproduction was never exactly high on my priority list. I never intended for anyone but me to ever be hit with it. But once the
And you
lady in
didn't
white,
plan on ever having children?
she,
Little
she
goblins, or little whatever you're turning yourself into?
elf, and I don't know
Stop.
if that's something he wanted. I would run tests to make sure it was safe. Certainly, I would get the blessings of my master. He can heal just as much as he can hurt. But once we started infecting more people, of course, the thought did cross my mind. But to do that, we would need to get 2 Icker beasts to breed. And none of them have been stable before y'all. They're animals. They don't think, they just eat. They think
Animals
the way the blood
breed.
think. Well, not
So
those kind of animals. I mean, like I said, the blood of Zephyr's people is a living thing, but unstable Icker beasts don't think like animals, they think like blood. All they want to do is spread, keep going, keep flowing. It's like water. But with this, I'm able to turn y'all into something between a liquid and a solid. But, of course, that does beg the question, reproduction. So,
Lucian, kind of
Fortunately, I'm
uncomfortable.
not going to be very effective at testing that either.
No,
well,
this is something that I need to hear.
well, I made it clear that I didn't exactly have control over the Icker beast reproduction. Most of them just reproduce by infecting others. But Lucifer said, what if 2 people that loved each other and 2 people that loved each other became Icker beasts? If they already had the instinct built in, would they breed? And what would their child be like? It got everyone off my back, and the lady in white approved, so I gave him the Icker from 2 of my test subjects and said this is the best I could offer him. He said it would be enough and went to work. He's been trying ever since then to create breedable Icker beasts, fertile Icker beasts.
Matthew, remind me, because it's been some time since my scrying. Wasn't there a mini one in the hedge?
There was, as far as you could see, several.
Yeah, I'm going to just kind of like shift in my chair uncomfortably. Well, he might have succeeded.
What, did you see little ones?
Well, I kind of got curious, so I kind of spied on him. Well, the house, really. And from what I could tell, in Mama's hedge mage, there were several little Icker beasts and 2
To be fair,
humongous.
it could be that they were like dwarf Icker beasts, or
She shakes her head
gnome
no.
Icker beasts, or goblins are kind of short.
Yeah, but I saw a goblin Icker beast before, and it didn't look like a goblin Icker beast.
Well, sweetie, it's certainly possible, but
Hi, you're okay.
if he succeeded, he never told any of us, and he's still following the Lady in White's orders, as far as I know. But maybe it's possible he finally succeeded. Honestly, I didn't think the formula I gave him would even work for that. I mean, they're genetically compatible, but personality-wise, I don't know. But it was the best I could give him.
Well, if you think about the animal kingdom and selectivism, when you're kind of like forced to like, pretty much there's nobody else to mate with, you're gonna mate with the only one there,
Well, the main problem was just that most Icker beasts don't have the instinct to do that. They're blood, not creatures. But if he has finally managed to make one that can breed, that can reproduce, I guess that means the formula I gave him worked.
I'm sure we'll find out eventually.
His only orders outside of running those experiments were providing us with undead for military purposes. Anything that Kaloom's robots couldn't do, Lucifer's undead would take care of. Or Droop's pirates if we were desperate. They only sent in me with the Ichor beasts if it was absolutely necessary. They wanted to keep that on the back burner, and up until all of y'all showed up, we've been doing a good job of that, I think. There was whispers of monsters in the woods, but that's about it.
Yeah, creating a bunch of monsters in a city probably creates a lot of attention.
There's a reason we operate out in the middle of nowhere.
But anyways,
I
I
hope all
think
of this
that
was helpful.
yes, I think so.
Not really. Not for me, at least.
Sorry, sweetie. I'll try better next time.
No, it's not you. It's I've been spending a lot of time cleaning up his messes, and it just seems like it's going to be a full-time job.
She gives a bit of a smile, and he always said the same thing about you.
Would you have anything to present for Young the King at this point? We were going to see if Summer would let us try.
Yes. And she holds up her bag. Like I said, I have a stabilizer, and I'll have to run a final test to confirm, but I'm fairly certain he was compatible with who I injected him with.
Is there anything that we need to bring just in case? Maybe a
I have
set?
some. I still have another vial of that stabilizer if you need a backup.
Uh, I'd keep that on your person just in case, but for the most part, the only thing I need all of y'all to bring is weapons. Like I said, I don't know how this is going to go. If it works, then the infection will subside, the blood will calm, and he'll come back to himself. He'll be different, like all of y'all are different, but he'll be alive.
You know who he was injected with?
I'd have to check. Let me check my files. And she starts pulling up folders and files to check over. But as she's doing so, she looks to you, Zephyr. And how about you, sweetie? Is there anything else I can do for you in the meanwhile?
I believe you've answered all the questions I was immediately concerning.
She gives you a nod, and as she's pulling a file out and nodding, seeming like she found the right one, but she does look to you with a small frown, and with her head down at the ground, she's quiet for a moment before. I'm really sorry. I understand if you don't forgive me, but I want you to know that I really did try and do everything I could. I didn't want any of this to happen. She kind of shakes her head and sighs a bit. Um, I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted.
You have the file?
Yeah,
No, tell me what it is.
well, we started making a habit of kidnapping. She bites her tongue a bit, like she seems like she doesn't like being forced to admit that that's what she does, but eventually kind of clears her throat and nods. Whenever we started abducting people, we were forced to start taking people nobody would miss. After all, we could only take so many prisoners before, you know, people would start asking questions.
Surprised you haven't gone and started a war. That's a pretty good way to get prisoners.
Oh, we've done that too, sweetie, but we need a lot of blood, and we could only start so many wars, especially when our only political force is your father, Gyoger, and the the alliance of Hades up above us. She nods to the north. That gives us something to work with, but if we go declare war on everyone, we're not going to last very long. So, we started traveling to my home country to start taking adventures.
Which is how you got Caro's friends.
Yeah. And your father, we combined with an alchemist we found in the Underdark. And she looks at her notes. Name of Zanash.
Was they in like an adventure?
Yeah, artificer. Found them hanging out with a crime family in the Underdark. We took everyone. I think I've used up all of them now, except for one.
Which one's that?
The lady in white said I should save him for a special occasion. Now that I'm leaving, I never got around to it. His body should still be fresh at the lab. The head of the family. They called him Don Cacalon.
Oh my god.
He's the only one I never used. His body's still preserved at my lab. I was gonna use him in case anyone came for me. From the stories I got out of the other prisoners, he was cruel, but knew how to stay alive. I figured someone like that would be perfect to make a bodyguard. If you all came for me and I thought you were coming for my life, he was going to be my last ditch to defend myself. Have him slow you down while I escaped. Everyone else in the family, though, we used. I used his bodyguard at the ball. I used the Nash on your father. And I used Daedra, one of their assassins. I used him on down in that lab. I think you killed him.
Which one?
She scratches the side of her head. They were always giving them different names down there. I lost track of it. But it was
They were Alpha,
Not
Beta,
really important.
Echo,
Point is,
Theta.
yeah, the Godfather's the only one left. Honestly, if you could get him out, he might help us, but I wouldn't count on it.
Well, hopefully this artificer wasn't completely unreasonable.
She gives a bit of a smile and
Given if he was compatible with the king, then I can only imagine what he's like.
from what I hear, he's pragmatic. At least that's the stories I got out of other gangsters. Pragmatic. Didn't share the Godfather's cruel streak, but supported it nonetheless. The stories I've heard. Honestly, I'm not surprised. But we'll fix it.
Are we
I'll
ready?
fix it. Yeah, I got everything I need. If you can get me in the castle and to him, I can cure him right now.
Let's
Let's
go.
see if we can get in.
What are we waiting for? Let's go.
All right, lead the way. Tuco, sweetie, watch the store while I'm gone. And she shuts the door behind her, clutching her bag to her chest. You can hear the light tinkling of glass vials as she does so.
Dink, dink, dink.
Do you need help carrying that stuff?
No, Mama's got it, sweetie.
Are you sure? I mean, we've got the big bugalugs right here, and she pats Gil on the back.
She gives a bit of a smile, and the least I can do is carry my equipment. Besides, I want to be careful. I don't want any of this getting broken.
Can I insight her?
Roll insight.
She's being suspicious. Where is my stat sheet?
Her
Where
whole
is
thing
my-
is suspicious.
I agree, but you
She's
know,
always.
stop barking at me, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, she has been playing the long game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or maybe he's just saying that to fuck with us.
Also possible.
Oh, okay. Plus 8. That would be a 19. Stop! Do you think you're barking at me no matter what I do?
Well,
Here.
stop being easy to bark at. Simple.
He wants to play.
It's very subtle, but as she kind of edges away from you, you do get the impression that she's lying, although you don't get the impression it's malicious. It seems like basically you could totally carry it. It's just that she's insisting on doing it. Between that and the fact that she still is like hesitating to make eye contact with all of you, you get the impression she's kind of still dealing with, having basically, as far as she's concerned, confessed to murdering Zephyr's parents, a bunch of other people.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Caleb was gonna have to have a talk about that, but he figured we needed to deal with this first.
Yeah.
Well, if you like, you can bring it up on the way to the castle.
Okay, I guess Caleb will say something.
All right, so as you guys are heading out, Dr. Knight clutching the bag to her as you lead her to the castle.
One thing I was thinking about.
What's that, sweetheart?
It seems like you have done a lot of things.
That's correct, sweetie. Mama's not a good woman.
And so it seems that it's something I was thinking about is once it's all over, there may be things you might have to answer for.
She gives a slow nod. I don't know.
But I figured it would only be fair since you are aiding us at this point. Any aid you provide will certainly play a role in what you'll have to do to make up for the rest.
I'll take whatever punishment you see fit, sweetie. I failed you as a mother, as a person. I should have been braver. I should have stood up to her and told her enough was enough. She couldn't have gotten to where she is without me. But it's too late for me to go back.
Well, now you're trying to do something about it. I think in Kingdoms, don't they have a thing where they'll go easier on you if you help them take down a bigger person?
Depends on which kingdom we're at. How do you feel about it, Your Majesty?
Well, the way I see it, any help you provide will certainly affect how you will be viewed.
If that's what you think is fair, sweetie, I'll take it. You're being
The more help you give us, the better it will be.
sweeter than I think you have any right to be. But if I can make up for even a fraction of what I've done and still be with him at the end of it all, then that's enough for me. That's all I ever
Well,
wanted.
I hear goblins and elves can live for quite a while.
Not goblins, sweetie.
Oh no, I've heard stories that some goblins can live a very long time if nothing kills them.
uh, she kind of smiles a bit nervously, but seeming like she's more placating you than anything, just pats you on the back. When you arrive at the castle gates, by this point, it's night hasn't fallen yet, but it's getting close. Like the sun's beginning to set. And the guards salute as you approach and give a bow. Welcome back, Your Majesty.
We believe that this our good doctor here may be able to be of service to the king.
Howdy, Dr. Marula. The guards kind of scrutinize her for a moment before. My lord, may we speak with you for a moment?
Yes, what is it?
They kind of gesture for you to come closer so they can talk quietly.
Okay.
My lord, I do not mean to question your judgment, but she is a greenskin.
All this talk about
Do I
not
hear-
the
do I hear
Bajans,
this?
yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait a goddamn minute. Do
Caleb
I hear
just
this?
kind of collects himself.
Yeah, remember, these people guard the castle and the royalty. They have orders.
Well,
Do I hear this
I
over
must say, you
hear
have
this?
to say hearing that does quite embarrass me. I was just talking about how Tebeja is not like that.
Forgive me for being cautious, my lord, but if this is your judgment, then we shall see it done. And I'll say, yeah, Lucian with his stealth versus your passive. Yeah, you overhear it.
I was just.
I'm just gonna passively say to Dr. Marula, I think green is a very pretty color.
I'm glad you think so, sweetheart. You're sweet.
It's my favorite.
Caleb,
Go on.
I believe that this will be a good solution. It will offer help, so I will continue with this. But if I do become king, I think I'm going to have a talk with some of the guards on their views.
They kind of furrow their brows a bit, but don't harass you any further. However, you do hear the other guard kind of mumble to the other, like, well, goblins have always been good with chemicals.
And you should know with Tevedra, it's about what you can do, not what you are. If we cared about what you were, then my friend Dimitri wouldn't be doing anything now, would he?
Apologies, I did not view it that way, my lord. If you think this creature, this woman, can heal his majesty, then we will give her the opportunity.
Very well.
Not only can she will.
Where is he? He is currently being surveilled by the princess in the tower dungeons. We can escort you there if you wish.
So be it.
Shall we inform your sister of your arrival?
Honestly, it'll probably be better if we wait until we actually get there.
As you wish, my lord. Come. And they open the door, and the other guard stays at his post, but the more gruffer one nods and allows you all entry into the castle and begins guiding you up the stairs to the dungeons. In the meantime, is there anything anyone wants to do or say?
No.
No, not really.
All right.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
How did Pete is?
Oh, Austin, I see you're out of the roll 20.
Oh, I still hear the music.
Oh, well, as long as you can hear the music, then that's fine. I saw. Yeah, your icon just went away. So, anyways,
Don't stop the music.
you're all taken up to the tower dungeons, and the guard gives a cautious knock before lightly opening the door. Inside, you see a row of cells. This was, after all, once a fort before it was a city. As a result, the Tebajans had to get a little creative with the architecture. And as you wind up the staircase leading up to the king's bedroom, the walls are lined with cell blocks. And eventually, you see, with her back against the door, hair covering her face, bags under her eyes, and lightly breathing, is Summer Tevedra. She appears to be asleep.
Okay, never mind. I'll let her sleep.
But is she blocking the door?
She's sitting up against the bedroom door, but the cell nearest to it, judging from the black splatters, is where the king is. So it's like she was just watching him and then just fell asleep.
Well then, do you think we should wake her? Do you think we should just fix the king?
Let's just do it. Yeah, let's just do it, and then when she wakes up, everything is fine. It would be like a bad dream.
That may perhaps be necessary. Zephyr, kind of taking a quick glance, you see in the cell across from the king is a familiar elvish girl, restrained by the wrists, gagged, and completely restrained, unable to escape or injure herself in any way. She glares at the three of you as you stand in front of her cell.
Yeah.
I'll
yeah,
just
this
kind of
is
look
the
over
one
at.
that tried to infect themselves.
Well, didn't try, they did, so.
What? When?
Yeah, she infected herself and tried to kill herself to
Wait,
turn
what,
into a monster.
what did she infect herself with?
The blood.
His blood?
Was it the king's blood?
Yeah.
I think we've mentioned this before.
Yeah, I thought we mentioned it before. Yeah, she infected it with his blood.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, sweetie. I've been losing a lot of sleep. And she temporarily leaves the other cell door to lean against the bars of Halale's. A three-way
there-
combination. I've never seen a stable one before. The
Yeah,
elf
that's why we're keeping
mumbles
her
something
alive.
through the gag.
Yeah, we can't do anything about her because if she kills herself or dies, then she turns into a monster.
Wow.
So instead, she gets to be locked up here forever.
Well, I've never stabilized a three-way combination, but do you want me to try?
Afterwards.
Let's do the king
Yes,
first.
we can worry about that after we do it.
Yeah, let's worry about the king.
I think being stuck here a little while will do is still sufficient punishment.
The elvish girl glares at you and mumbles something through the gag. You
And
can't
the
I'm
best
sorry,
part,
what was
and the best part
Tommy,
is
you've
you're
got
an elf,
something-
so you don't
you've
ever
got
die
something
of
in your
old
mouth.
age either. So you'll literally be there forever.
She kind of rolls her eyes at this, and while you can't hear what she's saying, you can tell she's smiling.
Yeah, just forget about her for now. We'll deal with her later.
Right.
Can you guys hear me
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This kingdom is full of traitors.
Not all, sir. Shall I unlock the door quietly?
Yeah. I think it's best to leave her asleep. I am worried that if you wake her up in the middle of this, she'll freak.
Why don't we just wake her up then?
If that is what you think is best, my lord.
Oh, Zephyr, it
Yeah,
was
Zephyr.
your idea.
Yeah, do you
Alright,
wake
yeah.
her up?
Zephyr, yeah, we'll go up to her and shake her awake.
You! Guard! Get them out of here! I'm afraid I cannot do that, my lady. Why not?
Because we have
My-
a cure.
Bullshit! You've said that 3 times.
Well, we did. And as we said first 2 times, or the last 2 times, we were trying to make sure it was safe. And we got confirmation that a good insurance that it was.
She growls, and as the guard kind of looks nervous but continues to put the key into the lock, she reaches into her pocket and don't get near him.
Do you wish for him to die?
Her gaze turns to you, and I don't think I've forgotten about you. You see that she has like a kind of wobble, and you realize this sleep was probably the first sleep she's gotten in a while, so she's likely a bit punch drunk, and you can't identify the chemical fumes coming off of her, but you can't imagine all of them are medical. Don't think I don't know what you're up to. You
What
and him
I'm
are
up
just
to?
like each other. All 3 of you.
Free.
You think just because you're my brothers that you can take whatever you want. Well, here in Tavager, the Queen has just as much power, if not more.
Yeah, and she
Yeah.
just threw it all away by making herself a traitor.
Traitor. She and I are the only ones looking out for him.
We are trying to cure him so that this can be resolved peacefully.
So that you can get what you want.
Here's the thing. The Queen is on her way now. We will offer this to her as well. She'll probably take it, and at that point, we will be doing what we're doing right now, just later, risking his life already.
You really think Mother would threaten me?
Do you think
Yes.
there's anything she wouldn't do to help him? Honestly, if someone told her it would fix him, she would probably kill you where you stand.
Zephyr, roll persuasion with advantage.
Persuasion. I'm not typically
Persuasion.
good at that. Should check. 18.
Is it too late to give him guidance?
Sure, go ahead. You did speak up as well, so I'll allow it, sure.
I
Roll
was
a
about
D4.
to ask if he wanted me to roll persuasion instead.
I mean, he's already rolled with advantage because you helped him, so.
Yeah.
Because he made the first argument that actually almost got through to her, and you backed it up, so. So Zeph, roll a D4, add that, whatever the total.
D4.
Need me to roll, or?
I got it. I'm rolling.
Okay.
D&D Beyond. Just had to switch. So it is now a 22.
She bites her lip, looking side to side in what seems to be genuine fear. Almost like she thinks that her mom might come out of the shadows right now and kill her. Fine. Fine. But understand this, both of you. This goes for you too. And she points to you, Lucian.
Lucy looks around like, what I do?
If this hurts him, if anything bad happens to him, I will set this entire fucking castle on fire with you all inside. And you'll die
It
with
wouldn't
him.
be the first time.
You would certainly try.
Asshole. She yanks the key viciously out of the guard's hand and with a frustrated hand movement cracks the lock and kicks the door open. Work your fucking magic then. And she deliberately shoulder checks you, Caleb, as she walks back to her spot.
I just hold out hope that one day you'll understand.
Same for you, Lev.
You know, I was thinking of hyphenating.
Where are you now?
Well, I mean, if it all works out, obviously they're going to expect the Tabaja name to be there, but
That may not necessarily be true, sweetie. Dr. Knight seems to realize from Summer's glare that she probably shouldn't have spoken up and kind of shrinks
Yeah,
back.
Lucian's like, this is
Doctor,
very
just-
heartwarming, but we have some curing to do. Come on.
yeah, Doc, do your, I believe you had one final check you were going to make before administering, correct?
Yes. I'm just going to check his blood to make certain that he's compatible. I can still try and fix him if he's not. It'll just take a little longer. This will be my chance to confirm. That way we don't get an unexpected result. As she takes a step in, the king's dripping black head jerks up and stares at her. Hey, sweetie. It's me, it's Mama. You remember Mama. That's all right, sweetie. Mama's gonna make you feel better. She takes a small metal ball out of her cloak and rolls it across the dungeon floor. The creature watches it approach with curiosity before it releases a gas. The creature sniffs at the air in curiosity, but eventually its movements begin to slow. She gives a smile. That's a good one. I knew you'd be resistant, but a little extra dose never hurt anyone. Mama just needs you to sit still, all right, sweetie? Mama's gonna make the pain stop. There you go. She starts to take cautious steps into the cell. Summer leans forward with her head against the cold bars. Who is this woman?
Someone who's learned a lot about this stuff.
I can't believe you let a goblin into our house.
I am seriously going to have to address this issue and
Yeah, seriously. Really? Summer, you of all people?
the page is all about survival. And if you increase our survival, that's all that matters.
Zephyr, you watch as Dr. Knight takes your father's head and, wearing a long enough robe that the ink doesn't get on her, she gently pulls his head to rest on her lap. She looks at the chains binding him with a frown, but shakes her head as the creature struggles. No, sweetie. You need
Can
to
you
sit
be
still.
more doctorly and less weird?
What? He's my son.
Oh God.
I'm gonna
just do what you need to do.
She kind of rolls her eyes a little bit, but smiles at you before pulling free the syringe. The creature begins to twitch and jerk, but she holds his head still, positions the needle, and
Didn't
injects.
you have a final check?
She gives a nod. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, is that one empty?
She nods as she pulls a vial of blood from him. The creature hisses and shrieks, but she just soothes it as she looks at the syringe and pulls a small scroll from her pocket, unfurling it and dumping the formula onto it. You're not sure exactly what she's looking for, but she watches as the ink begins to spread over the papyrus.
I'm going to well.
Sweetie, don't worry, I've got him. Caleb, honey, can you give me your dose? The stabilizer.
Caleb will pull free the dose he has and give it to her.
Now, I don't have my equipment to test compatibility out in the field, so this is going to be how we test it. And she holds the syringe over the spreading ink and looses the formula onto the dose. The catalyst and the ichor bond with each other. Chocolate brown and pink and yellow meeting with dark ebony black. The ink swarms over the catalyst, and now that you're seeing it, you all can see what she meant. The blood moves like a predator as it consumes the formula in its entirety. It twitches. It shakes. The spreading abruptly stops. Not like water across paper, but like a solid substance that just suddenly made the conscious choice to stop spreading. Dr. Knight gives a smile as she sees this. That's great. We just need one more thing. And she gives a happy little bounce in her place as the formula dries, calcifies, and turns to ash. Perfect.
Is that a good thing?
Yes. That means it's become dormant. You've probably seen it before when you destroyed them, right?
Lucian nods, remembering.
It's complicated, but I can explain a little bit about it while I'm administering it. I'll need to watch him to make sure it takes, like I did with all of you. And as she prepares her copy of the stabilizer, she nods to the papyrus as she kind of rolls it towards you, Lucian, so you can take it if you wish.
Oh yeah, I study that shit.
See, I've managed to do something that most alchemists have been trying to do for years. I've managed to find a chemical answer to the soul. Summer kind of gives a snort in her place. Bullshit. You can think that, sweetie, but it's true. And that is a soul. And Lucian, as you take the papyrus, you see that effect you've always seen, that like constant warping of the ichor, as if it's flickering from place to place.
She's cradling it like it is a newborn child.
I don't have
Once,
another one who's like, mother, I am mother to all.
yeah,
It really complicates things.
yeah, no, Dr. Knight, I think she mentioned, as she definitely made it clear now, she didn't mention it during the prison break, she considers every ichor
Oh,
beast to be
yeah.
her child.
I got that vibe off her. I was
Yeah,
just
but
like,
that
Yeah,
makes
no, I
some weird situations.
No, I got that. Yeah, definitely.
Once the ichor is stabilized, either through its colony being destroyed or through this, it stops spreading, but since it doesn't spread, it solidifies. That's good for our purposes. It means it's not trying to take over the rest of the blood. The body doesn't filter it out, so it just stays. It'll be a permanent part of him, but it won't hurt him anymore. At this, you can actually see Summer kind of visibly soften a bit and watch carefully. I promise you, Princess, I will bring him back. He'll be different, but he'll be alive.
I think I had mentioned before we gotta wait to make sure he didn't die. This is what I meant.
Sorry if I didn't believe the every claimant that comes trying to take my throne.
Well, this is what I meant. I didn't want to promise it would completely get rid of it, but I did promise it would stop him from dying from it. That would be a whole different step.
She sighs, but continues to watch Dr. Knight as she administers the stabilizer. The king twitches, shakes, and shudders. She frowns, but continues to pat his head. And eventually, the ichor begins to solidify. She smiles as his form begins to shift. Not too dissimilar, Zephyr, to what you experienced with Red. It's as if the ichor's cocooning him, and she gently puts his head down and steps away as the cocoon begins to encapsulate him, the coughing and gagging and gurgling giving way to a simple, dry as the cocoon covers the head. Summer kind of stands up nervously, but Dr. Knight holds up her hands as she approaches the cell door. It's all right, it's all right. This is supposed to happen. It's changing him. The ichor's figuring out how to love. It's learning.
We didn't get encased.
She gives you a smile. You were already stable, but the ichor hadn't stopped spreading. I just told it to stop doing that. Here, I'm teaching it from scratch how to coexist with its host. It's the same process fundamentally, I'm just doing it all at once now. I figured it out when I saw Zephyr that I had the formula right, I was just missing a piece. You all helped me figure out what that piece was. And when she sees Summer looking at her with curiosity, she smiles and, like I said, he's learning to love. crack runs up the cocoon. Another. Bits of it begin to flake away and warp. Before the cocoon finally collapses. All right. Come on out, sweetie. A gloved hand reaches out of the pile of dust and ash. Palms on the dungeon floor, feeling around blindly. Eventually, a figure that's equal parts familiar and not begins to claw its way out of the cocoon. And as a familiar mess of ginger hair covers the face, a humanoid form takes shape and looks around for a long moment before its gaze settles on Zephyr and Caleb. A grin shoots across the foreign features, and a voice that's familiar in intonation yet different in expression, as if all of the energy the king once possessed has been replaced with a calm neutrality, calculation in place of greed.
Well, this is different.
Took you long enough. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Yeah, we spent too long waffling on with questions.
I mean, you got
Okay.
a bunch of like information and lore, so
Yeah.
as the DM, I'd hardly call that a waste. Lucian, your bird will be back in like it's currently the morning. Your bird will be back with the troop reports, and the army closes in. But as it stands, he's different. But King Tebadra lives.
Yeah, we just have to hope Mother will accept it.
Yeah, he's not the exact same.
Not the man she fell in love with, but can she learn to love him if he's different? And of course, even if she can she truly keep her word of turning away an entire army of the Concord just because she got what she wanted? That remains to be seen.
Especially one that's probably feeling sunk cost about now.
Yeah. Check out our website at officiald5hub.info. Down for maintenance at the moment, but soon to be resurrected from the grave like a filthy necromancer curing a king. Check out our link in chat to join our official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us directly. Support our episodes, post on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and the iHeart Podcast Network, wherever you happen to get your podcasts from. For our audio listeners, catch us live on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time on twitch.tv/Odd Tornado Productions. Check out Odd Tornado Productions Official on Tumblr to find links to our other works, including our Human Rogue Prince's Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Killer5. That is 5 with a PH, don't get it wrong. He's been playing Black Flag lately. Good game. And if you enjoy what we do, please support us on Patreon. That link to be posted as well. On Ko-fi at kofi.com/Odd Tornado Productions, and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/TornadoOdd. The TNO are capitalized if you want to get immediate updates whenever we go live, as well as updates on everything else we're doing. And if you want to see more of this party, plus or minus a few, tune in Mondays at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time for our Monday game, Under Locks and Keys, featuring a party of globe-trotting treasure hunters trying to assemble the artifacts of the gods in a race against time against technology-worshipping cultists.
While blowing everything up.
Yeah, while blowing up as many parts of a train as possible along the way. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. I think that's about it. So thanks everyone at the table so much for playing. Thanks everyone at home so much for watching. And we'll see you all next week.